there, welcome to LTC Fantasy here. Not sure if you're chiming in watching via YouTube or listening via podcast, but either way, I really do appreciate the support and the listener watch no matter how you're streaming the episode here. We're continuing along with our team previews. We are starting to wind them down here. We're going to look at the Vegas Golden Knights today. Take a look at their depth chart according to dailyfaceoff.com. Really do find them to be the most accurate. So we'll take a look at their projected goaltending tandem, their defensive pairings, their forward lines. From there, we'll mention which players are projected to be on the different specialty team units to really hopefully help you determine some fantasy value for your upcoming drafts, to get you that good head start in your leagues there, whether it be wins or moving up in the standings, depending how your league's formatted. So we'll get right into it. The projected goaltending tandem in Vegas right now is Logan Thompson and Laurent Brossoit. Now, Thompson, he's 25 years old, kind of got thrown into the fire there. They probably weren't expecting to bring him up last year, but obviously injuries happen. He got into 19 games. He had a nice record at 10-5-3 with one shutout, a 2.68 goals against average, and 914 save percentage. Some really nice numbers from him. Brossoit, he's 29 years old. Last year got into 24 games. He was 10-9-3, so still over 500 if you count the 3 overtime losses, not as losses, 10-9. One shutout, a 2.9 goals against average, and an 895 save percentage. So, obviously, Thompson had better numbers last year. Brossoit is the veteran, but he is injured right now. Not sure how much time he's going to miss. And they did acquire Aiden Hill. So, how does he factor into the rotation there on who gets the leash in that? Personally, I'd be trying to leave the Vegas goaltending situation alone. I think they will get some wins. They'll be competitive overall, Vegas. It's just kind of a crapshoot on who will be the starter. Will it be Hill, who started more games than either Brossoit or Thompson last year? Or will it be Thompson? He lacks the NHL experience compared to the other two, but he did have the best numbers. Or will it be Brossoit because he's the most veteran, been in the league longer? It's really hard to see how this will go, especially with a new coach and Cassidy there. So personally, I'm leaving Vegas goaltenders alone. I would watch the situation because if one of them emerges, it'd be a good one to pick up. Just for me, it's a little bit too risky to take one in a draft, unless you're in a very deep draft where like 40, 50 goaltenders are taken kind of a thing, where it's like 26 players in a 16-team league, something like that. Then you might take a flyer on one and hopefully you strike gold. But other than that, I'd be watching the situation before I really pick one of the goaltenders there. Defensive pairings, we'll go into that now. Their top pairing is slated to be Nicholas Hague and Alex Pietrangelo. Now, Hague, he's 23 years old. Last year, 52 games played. He had 4 goals, 10 assists for 14 points, 57 hits, 80 blocks, and 116 shots on goal. There, he didn't get a lot of top pairing minutes. If he does get top ice time, he might show a little bit more fantasy value. He does get you a decent amount of blocks and hits, but he didn't get that top pairing ice time last year, so offense should improve a little bit, assuming he stays in that top pairing. And then, obviously, his blocks and hits will also go up with that increased ice time. But that's more of a depth move. That'd have to be in a deep league. Other than that, I'd wait to see if he does stay up in that top pairing. Maybe claim him on waivers or stream him on a light night, etc. Pietrangelo, he should be on the top power play unit and top PK unit. He's 32 years old. Last year, 80 games played. He had 13 goals, 31 assists for 44 points. So over that half point per game. 13 of those points were on the power play, 66 hits, 164 blocks. That's where he adds some nice extra value for you, and 227 shots on goal. So nice shot total from the back end there. Pietrangelo, given his age, he's still going to be fantasy relevant. He isn't going to be that 55, 60 point defenseman, but what he gives you is 40 to 45 points, maybe top out at 48. It gives you a nice block total, nice shot total, so there's some added value there. Second pairing should be Braden McNabb and Shea Theodore. Now McNabb, he should be on the top PK unit. He's 31 years old. Last year got into 69 games. He had 3 goals, 15 assists for 18 points. This is where he adds some values in the hits and blocks. 154 hits, 179 blocks, 85 shots on goal. It's the hits and blocks that if you need them in your league, they're counted in your league and you're struggling a bit, this is where he can add some value. He's going to be right around that 23 point mark if he plays a full 82, but the value is in the blocks and hits with him. Other than that, if they don't weigh very much in your league, leave them alone. There might be better options for you. Shea Theodore, he should be on the second power play unit. 27 years old now. Last year got into 78 games played. He had 14 goals, 38 assists for 52 points. So obviously he's the most offensive defenseman in the league. If it's strictly points league, Theodore's the one to go with. If they add in some other categories, Peter Angelo might be a better option for you depending how different cats are weighted. 12 of those points were on the power play for him. He had 37 hits, so compared to Peter Angelo's 66, so it's Peter Angelo almost out-hits him 2-1. 97 blocks, so decent block total, but you'd like to see him over that 100 block total, whereas Peter Angelo had 164 blocks. 205 shots on goal, really close. Both of them were over 200 shots. It's just that if it's a well-rounded league, Peter Angelo is your better option. You're sacrificing a little bit of offense, but you get the added bonus in hits and blocks. Whereas if it's more offensive league that you're in, Theodore's the one that you want because he will get you more points. They're close in goals, but he does get you more points. He's just a little lighter on the blocks and hits category. Third pairing is Alec Martinez and Zach Whitecloud. Now Martinez was hurt most of the season last year. He should be on the second PK, 35 years old. Only got into 26 games last year, and in those 26, he had 3 goals, 5 assists for 8 points. So he should be right around that 25-point range. He had 26 hits. So hit per game, he projects to be about an 80 hit guy, so not the greatest there. He did have 68 blocks though, so he blocks a ton of shots. That's where he's going to add some value. But he's slated to be on the third pairing, so obviously his ice time's reduced a bit, and 32 shots on goal. Whitecloud, he should be on the second PK. He's 25 years old. Got into 59 games last year. He had 8 goals, 11 assists for 19 points. 98 hits, 115 blocks. So nice total for hits and blocks in only 59 games there. 94 shots on goal. Realistically, though, there should be better options for you. But Whitecloud, if you're in a banger league, he will get you in that 20 to 25 point range. He will exceed over 100 hits, obviously. Close to be about that 170-ish for blocks. So not a bad option for you. There just might be better options for you. It might be more of a streaming option in your leagues that count your hits and blocks heavily. Top line in Vegas now should be Chandler Stevenson, Jack Eichel, and Mark Stone. Now Stevenson, he should be on the top power play unit, top PK unit, 28 years old. A little bit of a coming out party. His career highs this year for offense, 79 games played. He had 21 goals, so 20 goal man, 43 assists, 64 points in those 79 games. So he should be fantasy relevant definitely this year. 14 power play points, 68 hits, 44 blocks, and 125 shots on goal. With Pacioretty leaving, that should only help out Stevenson more. Not that Pacioretty played a lot last year, the way Vegas was hurt, but Stevenson did reap the rewards. Getting that extra ice time, went with it, and now he should be on the top line there going forward this year. Eichel should be on the top power play unit, 25 years old. Last year, 34 games played after he had that neck surgery there. 14 goals, 11 assists for 25 points. So not bad totals, low by his standards. He did recently say that he didn't want to use injuries as an excuse, but he had a broken thumb after that, apparently. So he might drop a bit in drafts where you might be able to scoop him up and get some really nice value for him. player like Eichel, should definitely get you some points there. And if you can kind of steal him in the mid rounds and not be forced to draft him in the earlier rounds, could turn out really beneficial for you. Of those 25 points, 8 were on the power play. He threw 45 hits, had 35 blocks. So nice totals for forward there in those departments. And 133 shots on goal. Mark Stone, he should be on the top power play and second PK unit. He's 30 years old. Last year got into 37 games. Again, missed a lot of time. 9 goals, 21 assists for 30 points. So will definitely be fantasy relevant. 30 points and 37 there. 6 power play points. Light on the hits, only 19 hits. 24 blocks and 71 shots on goal. Their second line should be Jonathan Marchessault, William Karlsson, and Riley Smith. Now Marchessault, he should be on the top power play unit. He's 31 years old. Last year got into 76 games. Another 30-goal season for him. 30 goals, 36 assists for 66 points. 20 of them were on the power play. 61 hits, 17 blocks, and 251 shots on goal. Marchessault will produce. He's fairly healthy for the most part, so he'll definitely be fantasy relevant in drafts. It's just a matter of where do you draft him. To me, again, he's obviously not in the top 20, 25 forwards for me, but he is in that next tier afterwards. Should be fantasy relevant for you for sure, depending where you're slated to draft him. Now, William Karlsson, he should be on the second power play unit, second PK unit. He's 29 years old. Last year, 67 games played. He had 12 goals, 23 assists for 35 points. So right around that half point per game. You'd like to see it a little bit more. 3 power play points, 42 hits, 42 blocks, 135 shots on goal. Really, outside of his first season in Vegas where everybody had career years, Karlsson really hasn't produced much, so for me, I would stream him on a light night. That'd be about it. But other than that, I'm kind of leaving him alone, to be honest with you. Just his track record before that first season in Vegas and after, it kind of seemed like an oddity that first year there. Now, Riley Smith, he should be on the second power play unit. He's 31 years old. Last year, 56 games played. He had 16 goals, 22 assists for 38 points. So not bad production for only 56 games. 7 of them on the power play. 55 hits, 23 blocks, 150 shots on goal. He's more than likely going to be more of a streaming option than a full-time roster option for you. But pretty good option for you on light nights to stream him if you have that room on your roster there. Other than that, I'm probably passing up on him. Third line should be Nolan Patrick, Nicholas Roy, and Phil Kessel. Now, Nolan Patrick, he's on the second power play unit. He's 23 years old. Last year got into 25 games, 2 goals, 5 assists for 7 points, 1 power play point, 26 hits, 3 blocks, and 34 shots on goal. Not a lot of fantasy value for him. Concussions have kind of really derailed his career. I feel sorry for him. Second overall pick, a lot of promise. Some wanted him to go first overall before Heeshire that year. It just hasn't panned out for him. So for me, I'm passing up on him. He's still young. There's still hope, but not in fantasy hockey for me. I'm just leaving him alone. Seeing how he does, I might scoop him up if he starts to produce, but other than that, I'm leaving him alone. Nicholas Roy, he should be on the top PK unit. He's 25 years old. Last year got into 78 games. He had 15 goals, 24 assists for 39 points. So half point per game. It's really nice production for a third liner. For a fantasy team, I'm leaving him alone, to be honest with you. 5 of those points were on the power play. He did get some power play time with all the injuries in Vegas. Assuming Vegas stays healthy, he's probably not going to see much, if any, power play time at all, so that's going to diminish some value. 85 hits, 34 blocks, and 145 shots on goal. And the last one on that line is Phil Kessel, the new free agent signing there. Should be on the second power play unit. He's 34 years old. Got into 82 games last year. He had 8 goals, 44 assists for 52 points. So 52 points, still really, really good season for a 33-year-old last year. His 8 goals, you're used to seeing him score a lot more than that, put the biscuit in the basket, so to speak. But still a fantasy relevant season. How does that project in Vegas? Because he was usually playing on the second line and either second power play or top power play in Arizona. Mind you, Arizona didn't score quite as much. This is a deeper team. Kind of gauge your interest on where you decide to draft him or not draft him, but watch him for streaming purposes. Of those 52 points, 14 were on the power play. He only had 6 hits last year, so he's definitely not going to hit for you. Only 21 blocks. He's not going to step in front of pucks. It'd be a pure points play if you are going to take him. And 175 shots on goal. The fourth line, it's basically, if you're looking for anything, it's hits. Otherwise, you're going to leave these guys alone, but we'll go through them anyways. Should be Will Carrier, Brett Howden, and Keegan Colasar. Now, Carrier, he's 27 years old. Last year got into 63 games. He had 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. 159 hits, so decent hit total there. 24 blocks and 120 shots on goal. Howden, he's 24 years old. Last year got into 47 games. He had the same stat line, 9 goals, 11 assists for 20 points. Just did it in 16 fewer games, so a little bit more offensive upside there, but way lower on hits, only 62 hits, 36 blocks, and 39 shots on goal. Realistically, you're leaving him alone, though. Carrier would be the better pick if you needed hits for a rotisserie league or a banger league, so to speak. And Colasar is probably the best one of the bunch, 25 years old for banger leagues, that is, not for standard scoring purposes, but 77 games played. He had 7 goals, 17 assists for 24 points. He threw 246 hits. That's where he adds his value. 46 blocks and 94 shots on goal. So that's the Golden Knights in a nutshell here. We will be coming out with our last couple previews. After that, we will be coming out with our top goalie rankings, defensive rankings, and forward rankings before we get into some strategy episodes. And then, of course, when the regular season starts, we'll be having 3 episodes every week, looking at different players to help strengthen your roster throughout the season and keep getting you those wins or moving you up in the standings in your league. So if you are watching via YouTube and you don't want to miss out on these episodes, do remember to hit like, hit subscribe, remember that notification bell. And if you're listening via podcast, remember to hit that heart, hit follow, depending what platform you're listening on. And really do hope you all the best in your fantasy drafts. And we'll talk to you soon there, fantasy owners.